So we were talking about Beast Wars as a podcast about two comedians rewatching the 1990s TV series Beast Wars Transformers. Although we are discussing a children's television show, the podcast itself is not intended for children. So we were talking about Beast Wars.
We were talking about Beast Wars. I'm Phil Thomas.
And I'm Andy Hunter. Thank you all for joining us. Today we are discussing Season 1, Episode 18, Spider's Game. Tarantulas and Black Arachnia pursue a stasis pod, and not only for the protoform inside. But then when we meet the new Transformer, they aren't what anyone expects.
No, but turned out to be a fan favorite.
Yeah, definitely an interesting one for sure. This episode was written by Larry DiTilio, again, one of the two head writers of the show. The scribe of my favorite episode so far, The Spark.
Does this person just get all of the stasis pod-centric writing assignments?
Maybe. Yeah, that'd be interesting to go back and see, like, all right, every other stasis pod episode, who wrote it? Oh, no, Fallen Comrades was written by Bob Forward, the other head writer. Mm-hmm. So the episode begins, we see the usual orbit of all of these stasis pods, and one of them begins its descent. It looks like a projectile or beam from the surface hit one to make it start descending. Is that how it looked to you?
There was some type of space debris. Was that it?
I couldn't tell because, yeah, it was, dark because of its space. Yeah, something definitely hits it, but then it has a regular fine descent and everything. So I couldn't tell, maybe that was just a laser pulse sent by Tarantulas, giving it instructions to begin its landing sequence. Although, if that's possible, one wonders why the Maximals wouldn't send a laser pulse up there and just, have them all land right on the Axelon and then, all right, cool, now we've got 100 Maximals. We'll definitely win the Beast Wars.
That's a good point. And even if Tarantulas has that technology, he should just be doing that over and over and over again.
Yeah. While Tarantulas is monitoring its descent, he says, yes, all according to my calculations. So maybe instead he was just monitoring space debris activity and he knew that a comet or something would nudge this one stasis pod. Maybe it was just something he'd predicted. Because that's a good point. If he wants a stasis pod so badly, and at the end of the episode, he does not have a stasis pod in hand, why doesn't he do it again next episode? So who knows? But either way, this is something Tarantulas has been planning for because he then activates a Magna Pulse, which cuts off the power at both the Predacon base and the Maximal base.
Which is easy to do because they're both right next to each other along the same fault line of Energon.
Yes. Megatron and Scorponok both fall inside their base when their floating platforms deactivate. Good thing they weren't above lava. If I were Megatron, just installing a floor above the lava would have been my first order, but just not something on their mind.
They do seem to have a floor, so either they installed one or they were in a non-insane part of the base.
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like their ship is kind of tilted askew, so some of it is dipping into the lava and some of it isn't. So yeah, I guess they're in one of the safe spots.
Can I ask you a question about Scorponok here?
Yeah.
When he falls, he says, I can't see. At first I was like, is his sight linked to the power of the ship? Or did he get hit so hard that, his eyesight went out? Or was it just dark?
I think it was maybe just it's dark and he's dumb. And so rather than him just realizing, the lights went out, he thinks he went blind.
And it just occurred to him that as a consequence of the lights being out, he is unable to see and he would just like to inform others of that.
Yeah, maybe just along the lines of the missiles. He just likes to state what he's seeing and experiencing.
He's got the worst catchphrases.
I mean, I like the missiles a lot more than mangle.
And now he's got I can't see.
Yeah. And yet, this is not the one where they all went blind. So Megatron tells Scorponok to order everyone back to base, but I'm not sure how that would happen if their power is out. So is Is he just telling Scorponok to actually go out and find everyone and just tell them in person to come back to the base?
Well, that would check out because Scorponok does show up to Tarantulas just as he's about to do something nefarious and says Megatron orders that the pod be returned to the base and you come back to base too.
Yeah, we do see him later on looking through a telescope where he sees Tarantulas towing the stasis pod and he amusingly thinks that something is chasing him.
Poor guy.
As we said, the power is also out at the Axelon. Optimus says he'll fly out and warn the others because each side believes that the other side is responsible. No one suspects that Tarantulas is acting as his own rogue agent here.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't. That's fairly savvy.
Yeah. But then Black Arachnia surprises Tarantulas in his lair before he can go out and deal with this stasis pod. This appears to be a new layer from the one where he creepily tried to suck Cheetor. I guess that layer did kind of get blown up in that episode.
Did you really just say that?
Hey, like Scorponok, I calls him as I sees him.
It's Tarantulas, and he's trying to suck Cheetor.
Yep. Yeah, or maybe I guess the way Scorponok would say that is like, the sucking!
The missile! Oh, that's not a missile.
Oh. So I guess here we have our confirmation that Black Arachnia didn't die when she was in the tower on the flying island while it crashed. She assumes that Tarantulas' interest in the stasis pod is the protoform inside and says that she will help reprogram it to be loyal to him. And Tarantulas laughs in a way that indicates maybe the protoform isn't the only thing he's interested in after all. Cutting to the end of the episode, we learn that he was after the stasis pod itself to escape the planet, which he believes is doomed, though he never gets around to saying why he believes that. We cut over to Tigatron scouting the jungle, and he sees the stasis pod. One interesting thing I noticed, in the panning establishing shot, we see a red tree frog hopping on some branches. And I'm trying to remember, I think that apart from some butterflies, that might be the first time we see an animal that isn't specifically there to set up a beast mode.
That's a good point. Do you think they were trying to play us a little bit? Like make us assume we were going to get a Froginator?
Maybe. I'm pretty sure there was a Frog Beast Wars toy. And I don't remember if it would have been a Predacon or a Maximal. Or maybe they just, by this point in the show, had gotten a little bit ahead on their workflow in a way, or were managing their budget in such a way that they had the extra resources to create a CGI model that wasn't strictly necessary. Cool touch, and especially as someone who is interested in the, just some of the logistics of creating a CGI show in this era, it was neat to spot.
Oh, that was a really good insight by you. To close the loop on the frog transformer, its name is Spitter, Spittor. Originally a Predacon, later joined the Maximals. His beast mode is a blue poison arrow frog, not red. This wiki page describes him as a Predacon toady. And apparently he had a Transmetal 2 version as well. Yeah.
As someone who mostly just got the toys of the characters in the show, it is easy to forget just how many toys there were that never made it onto the show.
Yeah, I think we're better for that one.
Some of them were pretty fine. But as we've talked about, toy technology has come a long way since those days.
So question for you, and then maybe question for our listeners. Which of the Beast Wars toys that were never a character on the show did you most want to see as a character?
That is interesting. I'm trying to remember the ones I had who never made it onto the show. I had a character Wolffang, who was a Maximal Wolf. Polar Claw, who was a Maximal Polar Bear. I think we also might have had, probably it was a Predacon, one of those bugs that can curl up into a ball.
Wait, which bugs are those?
Like a pill bug sort of thing. I want to say that character was called Roll Tracks or something. You know what? This is how we'll entice engagement. Write into us, listeners, and correct me on my memory of that character's name.
And also, tell us which non-show character transformer you would like to have been a character.
Yeah. Whether it is a character who never made it onto the show at all, or maybe a transmetal mode of one of the characters on the show. So, for example, I know Rhinox and AirRaiser at least had transmetal toys, but of course on the show they did not come to be. So it could be one of those too.
I bet Transmetal AirRaiser looked great.
At least at the time, I never felt inspired to buy it.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I take that back.
No, I don't know. Most of the time, if I bought a toy that wasn't on the show, it was because I went to the store and whatever ones from the show I didn't have weren't there, and I didn't want to leave with nothing. So I was like, all right, well, let's try this one out.
I thought that was something only I did.
I think it's any young person who has a toy's worth of money and is at the store and like, well, the adult version of me would rather just hang on to this money and try again later for the one I want. But no, the not fully mature brain of mine is telling me I'm in a store that has toys and I've got money. I'm walking out of here with a toy, whether it's a toy I care about in 5 minutes or not.
And that's how we ended up with Cyber Shark.
Anyway.
Oh, yes.
So we were talking about Beast Wars.
So we were talking about Beast Wars.
Tigatron sees the stasis pod. He can't contact the base, so he heads after it on his own. The stasis pod lands safely. This is kind of a first for this show. We're seeing basically what a stasis pod is supposed to do. It safely descends. Maybe Black Arachnia's stasis pod also landed safely. We didn't really see much of that. So it safely lands near an anthill. So here we are doing the usual seeding of the beast mode by seeing the animal. And you might think, no crash. So there probably won't be any identity circuit issues.
Is this a good moment to have the screw loose conversation, or should we keep going?
No, yeah, let's go ahead. If you rewatch the episode, you know the new Predacon is Inferno, a fire ant, and his logic circuits are all scrambled, and he has the mentality of an ant who wants to just defend the colony and answer to the royalty. But nothing in the episode really explains why that would be, because as we said, it didn't crash. Tarantulas does, partway through the process, replace the Maximal programming chip with the Predacon one, which interrupts the process, but the stasis pod doesn't bark out a warning saying that like, oh no, this may cause issues. It instead just says, okay, new programming accepted. So why does Inferno wind up having the issues that it does?
Who knows? So, sometimes you'll try to put in a new SIM card in a phone and it just doesn't take. Maybe that's what happened with the Maximal and Predacon chips.
Maybe this wasn't an off-the-shelf Predacon chip, but something Scorponok had jailbroken or something.
That would have been funny. If it had been done by Scorponok, I think the Predacon logo would have been drawn on it in crayon.
Yeah. Yeah, it had the regular Predacon logo on it, so I assumed it was the standard one, but who knows? But yeah, and this also, we've previously talked about it. The show never quite says all the protoforms in the stasis pods. I have usually assumed those are newly created transformers who haven't lived a life yet. The protoform stage it's the embryonic stage before they're officially born. But you have advanced the theory that maybe Transformers can just enter the protoform stage to be put in stasis for purposes of a long trip or something. Or, you're being carried on a ship that only has room for 5 to 10 crew, but, at the destination, you're going to need 100 bots. So you put 90 of them in stasis. The show, at least so far, has never specified. For the, they had a previous life theory to work, you have to then also assume that the protoform stage gives them some amnesia or something, because none of them ever talk about a life prior to this. Black Arachnia never says, well, I remember I used to be a Maximal, but now I'm evil and like being a Predacon or something, you know? So I feel like we have to do a little more work outside of the show for that theory to make sense, but it's certainly within the realm of possibility. But if that were the case, does it mean Inferno was already a crazy Maximal who walked into that stasis pod, or did something in this process make him crazy?
I just get the feeling that even when he was a Maximal before Protoform stage, he had a screw loose. I think he would have been a really weird Maximal if he had stayed a Maximal.
Maybe, who knows? This does get into the, I believe the plan originally was to say that these are all new forms of the G1 characters. T-Rex Megatron is, a new form of gun Megatron or whatever, and then they wound up kind of going away from that. And even in the toys, I think that was never said to be the case, but they did reuse a lot of names to maintain the trademark on them. And there had been an Autobot named Inferno who was a fire truck.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, we could in our own headcanon say Inferno the fire truck, after hundreds or thousands of years, and being converted into a Maximal. Maybe he did go a little batty.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point. I look at the character Inferno now in a different way. He could have had a completely different personality.
Yeah, he went from fighting fires to starting fires.
Well done.
Yeah. I think there is an old firefighter saying, you either die a firefighter or you live long enough to see yourself become the pyromaniac.
Wait a minute, they don't say that.
Hey, I don't know. I've never met a firefighter.
I guess I haven't either, so neither of us do. Okay, all right, that's a push. We're even there.
Maybe Inferno had a long, interesting history as a Maximal and even Autobot before his current turn as a Predacon fire ant. I still lean on the side of assuming that all the protoforms are basically newborns, and just like any newborn, every human is born different, and some humans are born with brains that work differently than the quote-unquote average human. So maybe Inferno was going to have issues, Maximal or Predacon.
Okay, so if Maximals or Predacons were going to have the same t-shirt version of Born This Way, would it say Scanned This Way? Or would it say Came Online This Way?
Yeah, I guess I would say maybe Came Online This Way. Maybe it would be Programmed This Way.
Okay, Programmed This Way. I'll take that.
And clearly the singer who has a song about that on Cybertron is Lady Botbot, do you think? Or Lady Beep Beep?
He can't see my battle face.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the toys in this episode. Do you remember this, that a lot of the toys had a face-changing feature? That you could either flip their head down and it would be like a battle face, or sometimes like a shell that you could enclose around their face?
Yeah, there were a couple of them like that. Did they drop that as they produced more and more toys?
Certainly, I don't remember any of the Transmetal toys having that feature. But all of the regular Wave 1 versions that I can remember did have something like that.
Could you switch out Optimus's robot face? How did that work in the Optimus toy? Oh, no, he just didn't have lips.
Yeah, he didn't have lips, but he also did have a separate, totally different battle face that you could rotate around in front of his usual Optimus Prime-looking face.
Oh, man, I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, I prefer in the show how they all just have the one face, with the only adjustment being Optimus will sometimes seal up his faceplate.
No, agreed. That's definitely a better way to go. One last point on the protoforms. One question I always had, there are different sizes. They pop out of the stasis pods as different sizes. Are all the protoforms the same size and they adapt to whatever animal is scanned? Or are some protoforms bigger than others and that's why they come out bigger? And I think when you see the shot of them showing the protoform in the pod, I think that protoform just looks abnormally large, just a lot bigger than other protoforms. Did you see that, or did it seem like the regular size to you?
I couldn't really tell because it's not like we see the stasis pod itself next to another stasis pod even. So is it that every stasis pod is the same? I do assume that every protoform corresponds to its final body size. Like, I don't assume that all the protoforms are the same size and then suddenly they just gain a bunch of mass somehow if they take a big form. And actually, back in the Spark, we talked about how there's a line that the stasis pod says about no compatible life forms detected.
Right.
And I assume that means, in part, the size of the protoform dictates what beast mode it has to take. So yeah, I assume that each protoform is just whatever size it is, as opposed to changing size when it wakes up. But yeah, as far as is every stasis pod the same size and just a small protoform doesn't take up as much room in it? Or are some of the stasis pods bigger than others? We don't really see them next to each other. We just see them from a distance in the orbit. So I don't know about that. But that is funny that you bring that up because when Inferno does end up emerging from the stasis pod in his beast mode, it really seems like they cheat it. Like, he seems to emerge from a clown car that, he climbs out and he keeps climbing out. And it does not look like that ant form fit inside that stasis pod at all.
Oh, yeah, no, I completely agree. That moment was terrifying. When you just look at it, the giant ant head comes out and he crawls out. You're just like, holy fuck. And then when he transforms into robot mode, you're like, holy fuck. This is the first time we just saw a truly scary looking Transformer in robot mode, in my opinion.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I do like the design. It would be interesting to see basically taking all those same elements of Inferno and just using the modern day 30 years later advances in CGI. I could be freaked out for sure. As it was, I just see him as being of a piece with everything else in the show.
Oh, okay. I probably felt like that when I was watching it as a kid, but I think as an adult, I was really taken aback.
Mm-hmm. Tarantulas and Black Arachnia arrive at the stasis pod, which, like we said, has landed safely. Tarantulas pauses the process to replace the Maximal chip with the Predacon chip. During this, Black Arachnia at one point hangs on Tarantulas and calls him cute. We're kind of left for most of the episode wondering, does she actually feel this way, or is it a play? At first I was like, well, she's got to be playing him, right? But then again, when he selected her beast mode, who knows what fucked up programming he typed in there before she came out of that stasis pod.
That's a really good point. He is a pervert. That has been clearly established.
Yeah.
So that could be the case. But I took that to be she's flirting with him because she wants something from him. I think it's also used to cue up the Tigatron air razor dynamic, which we start to see shades of in this episode.
Yeah. Also, by the end of the episode, I think it confirms basically that Black Arachnia's affection towards Tarantulas is an act because she, under her breath, calls him a lunatic and he calls her a witch.
What a great show. But you got what I meant about they probably injected that in there so that we would start thinking about romantic relationships between Transformers and then hopefully start reading into that with Tigatron and Airazor.
I feel like they're definitely toying with that idea at this point for Tigatron and Airazor. But in some future episode, I don't know exactly when it is. The longer we go through season 1, the longer season 1 seems to be. I don't know if you remember it. There's one where Tigatron basically quits the Beast Wars because his tiger friend gets killed in some crossfire.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wondering in that episode, were they attempting to imply that Tigatron has mated with that tiger? I don't remember clearly. It's been 10 to 15 years since I last watched that episode. When we get up to it, I'll have more informed things to say. But I'm sort of keeping that in the back of my mind with hints that there may be dropping between Tigatron and Airazor. Is that him being emotionally unfaithful to Snowstalker?
Okay, so Tigatron is a lover, not a fighter. And that's why he ends up becoming a pacifist. No, wait, he becomes a pacifist because he just sucks at this. Once again, he just gets shot in the back and it's just completely ineffective again. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but this is so infuriating to watch, Andy.
Yeah, he's always like, I hunt better alone. Man, I'm getting my ass kicked. Maybe the reason he always says, I hunt better alone, isn't that he knows it's true, but rather he's like, I'm so bad at this, I don't want anyone seeing how much I suck at fighting.
Oh my god, that has to be true.
So, yeah, we'll talk more about how much he sucks in a bit.
Okay, I'll let you keep going.
So Tarantulas and Black Arachnia do that reprogramming. Tarantulas has brought a spider along to try to make this a new spider. It's another Black Widow, so he definitely has a type.
Herbert.
But it's too late. The new protoform will be an ant.
Sorry. I just started thinking of all the things he wants two Black Arachnias to do to him.
Uh,
All right, now both of you shoot web at me.
oh, yeah. And now I'm going to suck over here, and then I'm going to suck over here. Ooh, and then we'll like all three of us suck in a triangle. We'll be like the recycling symbol.
Ew! Now one of you put on this mask of Cheetor.
So we were talking about Beast Wars. Before we actually see this ant transformer, we cut back to Tigatron making his way towards the stasis pod, and Waspinator sitting in a tree. He sees Tigatron. Waspinator is in beast mode, but he is nonetheless sitting on that tree branch like a human. He's upright, and he's just like sitting on his abdomen, as opposed to sitting horizontally like a wasp would.
Oh, wow, I didn't notice that. That's super weird.
Yeah. But he gives chase to Tigatron, and he somehow manages to surprise him, even though it seems like he yells terrorize from only about 10 feet or so behind Tigatron. But then I thought maybe Tigatron was still just lost in thought, remembering his lost land of peace from last episode.
Oh yeah, his mind is elsewhere.
So Tigatron is shot. It seems like Waspinator could just finish him, but luckily Airazor shows up, takes care of Waspinator. She is so badass. Waspinator shoots one of his stinger missiles at her, and she just bats it away. And then she like readies her arm darts, and Waspinator, like his eyes cartoonishly bug out at this, which I felt like was a bit off. Like I love Airazor, and her arm darts are badass, but they're not visually imposing. You know, he was reacting as if she took out a bazooka.
Yeah, I get that. I think it might have worked better if that was his reaction to her batting away his shot, which is kind of badass and unexpected.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that would have worked a lot better. Or maybe he was just remembering how she took out those arm darts and totally obliterated Pterosaur into a million pieces.
Oh yeah, I would remember that.
Yeah. But that's not what she does this time. She just shoots his wings off, so he falls and his head gets stuck underground, and that's him taken care of for the rest of the episode.
Oh yeah, and then that rat that shows Rat Trap the way in that one episode comes up and starts trying to eat his face.
Yeah. Airazor checks in on Tigatron. He says, I'm cool, you fly on ahead. There's no internal damage, but then after she leaves, he activates some internal repairs. So I guess we're meant to think that he was afraid that if she was worried about him, she would just stay with him and not rescue the pod. But I feel like there have been plenty of times where they leave an injured comrade behind for the sake of the mission. Or did he just want to look manly for her?
Yeah, that's what I took from that. He was looking pretty bad at that moment. He really needed to save face in whatever way he could.
I don't want Airazor to know I can't take a hit even from Waspinator.
She knows by now, bro. She knows.
Yeah. Back at the stasis pod, Inferno finishes his activation and climbs out of the pod in beast mode. Like I said, he just climbs out and out and out, and it really looks like he did not fit inside that stasis pod, but whatever. Inferno is voiced by Jim Burns, who, apart from playing Inferno and then later Thrust on Beast Machines, he may be known to genre fans for playing a character, Joe Dawson, who was a watcher on the Highlander TV series. And he's also a blues musician. Not that you really could guess from Inferno, who is just crazy on a stick. And I think he does a great job playing Inferno.
Oh, yeah. Is this blues band called For the Royalty?
I doubt it, but yeah, I actually don't know the name of his band. But anyway, Inferno immediately demonstrates his faulty logic circuits, interpreting the spiders as invaders to his colony. He views the stasis pod as his colony, and so he shoots them. Airazor shows up. She tries to make friends with Inferno. And then he shoots her, and she immediately says, "Hey, you're no Maximal." As usual, they're using this episode to show us all of the physical capabilities of the new character. So, Inferno, both his guns pack a punch, and he can fly in his robot mode. Black Arachnia helps take Airazor out. And then she talks with Inferno while Tarantulas steals the stasis pod. The voice work and animation of Tarantulas shooting the web at that stasis pod to drag it away really make it virtually identical to forcing out a tough poop. Was that the vibe that you got as well?
Yeah, I think I got that vibe when he shot that at either Rat Trap or Cheetor in that one episode. I got the vibe that he was forcing out a poop, but he had had a lot of shredded wheat that morning because it came out quite regular. But in today's episode, yes, I agree. There was some work. He needs to get a little more fiber in his diet.
Yeah, he clearly has not been sucking the right oatmeal. In the spark, when Black Arachnia shot a web at Cheetor, it wasn't like, "Hold on, Cheetor, just give me a minute." She just shot it lickety-split. Clearly, she eats more fruit, I guess.
That was actually the moment I was thinking of. Yeah, you were right. She was just like, "We'll get a load of this."
Yeah. Quickly, Black Arachnia and Inferno realize the stasis pod is gone and give chase. Black Arachnia is like, "Come on, Tarantulas, I thought we were working together." And then Tigatron is behind them, while Airazor goes to alert Optimus. She does, though, offer to back up Tigatron, but he says he hunts better alone, as we previously talked about.
Right.
With Tigatron's tendency to be a loner and someone who's bad at shooting a gun, I'm actually starting to relate to him, personally. Just swap out being in nature with sitting on a couch, and we're basically the same guy.
Yeah, I feel that.
He's also kind of tall and gangly.
And he said, "Who wants to be the first to feel my bite?" which was what you wrote in my yearbook in high school, if I recall correctly.
Yeah. And then I took a bite out of your yearbook.
You did? Did you manage to regurgitate that at any point in the past 25 years?
Let's just say it is still, to this day, hard for me to shoot a web. So anyway, Scorponok sees Tarantulas dragging the pod, reports to Megatron, "Something's chasing him."
Just funny.
Yeah, I'm sometimes a bit annoyed when the show makes the characters dumb and like in a kid show kind of way, but sometimes I do find it charming and funny. Tigatron then catches up and destroys the stasis pod. And he's ganged up on by Black Arachnia and Tarantulas, and he does not manage to tank their machine gun barrage nearly as well as Optimus did back in guerrilla warfare. Optimus shrugged that off. Tigatron reacts the way I would. Again, you see why I'm relating so much to Tigatron.
Well, I mean, the first frustrating thing about this sequence is Black Arachnia gets the drop on him again.
Yeah.
It's like the second time in the episode he's gotten shot in the back. I mean, he's supposed to be an apex predator here.
Yeah. Then Megatron shows up and gets Inferno to attack Tigatron too. So yeah, he's just getting shot from all angles. But then before Inferno can actually finish him off, Inferno, is shot and exploded by either Optimus or Airazor. We don't see who that shot came from. But I was a little surprised by that because Inferno's only been a Predacon for 5 minutes. And they're already ready to blow him up. I would think that capturing and reprogramming might still be on the table at this point, but apparently not.
This is a weird sequence on a number of different levels. I thought it was unusual that they would debase a character in their debut because he gets taken out somewhat ignominiously. He's just shot once and then that's it. It's like they're supposed to be overpowered and wow everybody.
Yeah. I don't know. Although, did you say that you had a thought about why characters are overpowered in their first episode?
I did. Okay, so this is the theory in my quest to be an apologist for everything that makes no sense in this show. Here's what I was thinking about in terms of overpowered weapons. So let's just say, for argument's sake, on some level, all of the weapons and all of the munitions are energy based in some way.
Yeah, I think even the physical projectiles are manufactured inside their body using that same store of energy. So yeah, I think that works to explain it all.
Right. Thank you. So, if they're energy weapons, there has to be some type of like vibration or frequency based on the wavelengths of light or energy involved, which means that like every shot probably vibrates at a different rate. So, here's my theory. The way every zebra has a different set of stripes, allegedly, every transformer, their energy weapons shoot at a different frequency. So when they first appear, no one is used to the frequency of those energy shots, and everybody goes down quick. But after the first time they get shot, they all calibrate their systems and their weapons to be able to tank that type of frequency. And that's why every time they show up again, they're better able to handle it.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Similar to the Borg in Star Trek are able to adapt to weapons and tactics. Yeah, that makes sense. It doesn't explain how really, like in one episode, a shot is super weak, and in another episode, the same seeming shot will take a character out. But, we'll chalk that up to it depends on, how much energon they chugged that morning.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty hard to make up an excuse for.
That's why it's a category in Beast Wars Bingo.
There you go.
So, Inferno's all blown up. The Maximals escape. Tarantulas reveals to Black Arachnia that the reason he wanted the stasis pod is to build an escape craft because the planet is doomed. She pushes him on why he believes this, but then he just kicks her out of his lair. And back at the Axelon, Tigatron is repaired. I liked that animation touch. Just as he walks out of the CR chamber, he's like flexing his fingers. The way you would if you just like got a cast taken off or something, And he says, I'm going to go back to the wild. I like to be alone. And A-Razor's like, yeah, but, you could visit us more often, right? And he's like, yep, I guess so. Here's my number, baby. That's the episode. I had forgotten that once A-Razor and Tigatron show up, that they do get a few chances to feature more heavily after so long of just having the original 5 Maximals. So I liked seeing them in this. Not that either of them shows the apex of their abilities in this episode. Well, although actually, A-Razor got that really sweet moment against Waspinator.
Yeah, she acquitted herself better than my guy Tigatron, who I've really given a hard time to in this episode.
Yeah. Well, he'll make up for it next episode. Next episode, he has some pretty cool moments.
Hey, Andy, so I haven't seen Apetimus recently, but he actually did send me a text message during this show.
Oh.
Yeah, do you mind if I read it? Just because it could be important.
No, yeah, go for it.
He said, wanted to give you my thoughts about the show. Gruesome moment for my guy Tigatron, but at least he didn't want to go out like a bitch.
Yep, checks out. Like myself and Scorponok, Apetimus also calls him like he sees him.
I think Tigatron might need a pep talk from Apetimus at some point just to get himself right again.
Yeah. I think actually that's why you haven't seen Apetimus recently. He told me he was actually going on tour as a self-help guru, talking to sold-out auditoriums. Instead of Sigma males, they're now just called Simian males.
Did he go on tour as a self-help guru, or did he go on tour as a self-help gorilla?
Yeah, I think it is the latter.
Yeah, well, thanks for letting me give you that text message. I'm sure he sent it to you, but you didn't look at your phone during the recording.
Oh, yeah, I'm a professional, and I put my phone in Do Not Disturb when I'm recording a podcast. I guess that makes one of us.
I usually do too, but I have the setting on where any text from Apetimus can push through the Do Not Disturb, and then they go right to me.
Oh, yeah. He did instruct me to do the same. He made it pretty clear that he would physically assault me if I didn't. I guess I'm just taking that gamble, and I think perhaps you made the wiser choice in this case.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to ignore him. He does have some pristine arms.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any other thoughts, or shall we move on to Beast Wars Bingo?
Let's talk about Beast Wars Bingo. So, Beast Wars bingo moments. We did not have a bullet train moment. We did not have a hanging precariously moment. Animal looking to the sky. We had Tigatron looking up towards the stasis pod.
Yeah.
No Optimus body horror moment. Inconsistent weapon power. Optimus decapitates Inferno with one shot.
Yep.
And stolen catchphrase. Air Razor says Ultra Gear.
Yeah. At least she does give proper accreditation to Cheetor.
Yeah, so
She cites her sources.
she does cite her sources. So under some type of license, the Wikipedia license or whatever, she was okay to say that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
This comment is fair use.
Okay, and now the moments we've all been waiting for, maximize versus terrorize. How many times was terrorize said in the episode?
I'm going to guess 4?
Okay. Before I tell you, do you want to guess who those were, or should I just tell you?
I know Inferno did once, and I'm guessing Black Arachnia and Tarantulas each did once, and then maybe Megatron when he showed up.
You got the right number.
Oh.
It was 4. Inferno is 1, and Black Arachnia is the other. The first one was Waspinator.
Oh, right, of course. Yeah, and I even mentioned earlier that he shouted it right behind Tigatron, and Tigatron still didn't notice.
Yeah. Don't run away from me when I'm yelling terrorize. So Waspinator, Inferno, Black Arachnia, and then fourth one, Inferno again. Yeah. He gets to say it twice in his debut episode. He's breaking a lot of statutes here.
Nice.
Okay. How many times was Maximize said in the episode?
I'm going to guess just once. Maybe Tigatron says that at some point.
I watched this episode twice, and listen, I'm not perfect, but I don't think Maximize was said at all.
Oh.
Yeah. I left that one for last because I thought it was so weird.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I had for the episode.
Breaking new ground all over the place.
Indeed.
So that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for listening. Please subscribe and share the podcast. Spread the word. You can reach out to us at beastwarstalk@gmail.com, especially if you have a question for Apetimus, and he'll answer it on the podcast. You can find us on Instagram and YouTube. Until next time, I'm Andy Hunter.
I'm Phil Thomas.
And now we have talked about Beast Wars.